Hello and welcome back to Out of the Park Baseball 26 and the playthrough of the Baltimore Beeholes, a team whose players all must have negative personalities. So a little bit of rules housekeeping. Last episode, there was a debacle with Matt Brash, and I unintentionally cheated. He was sitting on my injured list. I had traded for him in the hopes that in the off-season I could get just a little bit of value out of him, and it turns out he was affecting my team chemistry even though he wasn't on my 40-man. So going forward, I'm just not allowed to pull stuff like this. If I'm paying a player, he cannot be sitting on my IL, and I don't know what the exact wording of the rule should be, but basically, this is a no-go. And another little rules thing that could come up, and I'm not sure if I've addressed this before, but the personalities in this game are dynamic. Those can change year to year, month to month, and while it doesn't usually happen, a player with a negative personality like Brock Kettleson, who has like a positive, like a high work ethic trait, he might develop a better personality. That is completely possible. So, if I draft a player like this while he's got a bad personality, and he acquires a good personality before he makes it up to the major league level, I'm out of luck. So the rule was to sign a guy. He's got to be on my 40-man or to be signed. He's got to have that negative personality. 2 negative traits at least, and also more negative traits than positive ones. Now, if a player is already signed, and he then goes on to develop a better personality, and he's already on my 40-man, he can stay on the team. That's going to be my rule. Just allow the game to evolve. It could be an interesting twist. So a guy who develops a good personality can stay. However, if I cut that player, if I waive and DFA him, or if I trade him away and then trade back for him and he's no longer got that bad personality, then in that case, I am out of luck. The draft went amazingly well on the back end, and I'm very happy with my first 2 picks. Braden Jaska, round 1. It's a very solid pitcher. Excuse me, that was Gage Wood. My mind's on this catcher. Braden Jaska, power-hitting catcher, not who you would normally think of as a second-round pick. However, I need catchers, and they're in extremely short supply in this game, at least quality catchers. Brock Kettleson, who I just showed, nice rangy outfielder, good third-round pickup for me. Pitcher Drew Lafferty, not super stoked about this one, but, he's all right. He could become something. And then shortstop Ethan Kloss, kind of the same thing. He's might make the majors, might not, but seems like a worthy investment. 6th round, I did say Tucker Biven was a round 6 kind of guy, and I got to round 6, and there he was, so we picked him up. Catcher Easton Carmichael could certainly be a good backup, and with a little bit of luck, be an excellent starter. Darian Pendergrass went kind of late, 8th round. And as we go up the list, we're getting some fairly strong guys. Like, this is not normally a 15th round pick. So I was quite happy to be able to find a guy with a bad personality and this good of stats. And this is my 20th round guy. That's pretty solid for a 20th round guy. I mean, I'm used to seeing guys like this in round maybe 10. So, very stacked draft class, very heavy on the bad personalities. And I look forward to developing these players. I think this was a fantastic way to start out this would-be dynasty. It is now July 25th, and we are still at that 505 record, 52, 51, and 1, treading water a little bit. If you cared about the All-Star game, Cal Raleigh won it for the American League with his bat. Then in the Home Run Derby, Aaron Judge took down Shohei Ohtani by a score of, I think, like 32-18 or something. It was a blowout. Mike Trout hits number 400. Good on you, Mike Trout. We're getting close to the trade deadline now, and there's a ton of players on the trading block. I do have 1 or 2 deals to make, which is very exciting. I wasn't expecting to make any this year around trading time. And one head-scratcher of a deal, everything else was fairly inconsequential, but Shane Bieber and $3.6 million being shipped over for this guy, essentially. There's one other throw-in here. But that does not look like a good deal at all. But speaking of good deals, if we go into the player trade, and who was that? That was the Miami Marlins, I believe. This is a good one for us. So we're giving up young but going nowhere Levon Soto. And we're picking up, even though he's 36 years old, we're not going to try to pronounce that name. Great infielder. So he's a guy I could call up if I need. And that may come to pass. So we're going to go ahead and complete that trade right now. A couple of impactful roster moves. Grayson Rodriguez, we gave him the full 30 days. We didn't need him that badly, and he was pitching okay in AAA. So we went ahead and used that time to maybe help him with his development a little bit. And he is looking quite strong. In fact, he's supplanted Zach Gallen to become our third starter. And I wanted to send down Mike Vassell and bring up Bailey Falter just because I need a lefty. Mike Vassell is unfortunately protected because I guess by the time we picked him up, he had been in a Rule 5 draft. And we sent down Mr. Lucas, who is just not quite performing. And to make way for Hechavarria in the infield, we're just going to bring him on immediately because I don't want to try to waive him. We can either try to send down Cody Clemens, who's out of option years, and he's playing kind of okay. Or we can send down the struggling Zach Geloff. And I think this makes sense. He's got a little development to do, maybe get that avoid Ks up a little bit, and then we can bring him back on next year. So we're going to go ahead and send Zach Geloff down. He does still have those options. We're going to bring over Hechavarria, and that should round out our defense nicely. It is still July 25th, and boy, these teams are wheeling and dealing. I have 6 impactful trades lined up, and I think I'm going to do all of them. Let's take a look. So the Detroit Tigers want to give up pitcher Ty Madden, who looks quite good. And he's down an A-ball, but really he's kind of AAA, maybe almost Major League ready. And we'd be giving up AAA pitcher Cade Povich. It's about an even trade, I think, although Povich doesn't have that bad personality, so strict upgrade for us there. I'll come back to the Dodgers because that's a very interesting one. Miami Marlins, they want to give up Griffin Conine for not all that much. I think he just goes directly into right or left field for us. He's hitting them okay this year, so that might be defensible. We'd be getting rid of Judd Fabian, who I've been wanting to get value for a long time, so quite happy about that. And then reliever Luis May, who, he's looking really good, but he's never going to play for my team. So that's almost a strict upgrade as well. Scrolling down to the Mariners. Prospect Troy Taylor. He has been up to the major leagues, but we're definitely going to give him some development time. He's only 23 years old. Already, he's throwing 98, 99 miles an hour. He's a ground baller. Just what we're looking for. If only he was a lefty. And all we have to give up is Daz Cameron. So that's fine. I've also been trying to get value out of Cameron. I think he's already 28. Yeah, 28 years old. So great time to get rid of him. The Tampa Bay Rays want to give up Manuel Rodriguez. Now this one's more of a... I'm more just trading out for a slightly younger player. Hard thrower, only 3 pitches, but everything is average or plus. And the slightly spottier Mr. Lucas. And in addition to not having to pronounce his last name anymore, he is a particularly disruptive influence among disruptive influences. So it will be nice. I got an email when I demoted him that the team was very happy that he was getting out of there. And the fact is, he's not playing all that well for us, and he's already 30 years old, so I am expecting him to decline rather soon. So while this is not exactly an upgrade, I believe it is good for the future of the team. I don't love giving up a player with a bad personality, but in this case, I think it's justified. And then pitching prospect Ryan Lobus, who I've also been trying to get value out of. He's a captain of our AAA team. So it's going to hurt us a little bit in team cohesion and development and stuff to give him up. Not a big deal. We're getting lefty, very needed lefty, Jose Ferrer. He is going to go straight into middle relief for me, it looks like. And then the final deal, this is the one I'm not completely sold on yet. And what a deal it is. The Dodgers would prefer Felix Bautista to Tanner Scott. Now, Bautista's 30 years old, so they're both fairly old guys. I mean, he's just a fantastic reliever. He's not performing all that well for us this season, so could be the start of his decline. It could also be just the fact that he's having random variants. He's very cheap, which is a plus for the Dodgers. However, they're willing to keep almost all of Tanner Scott's contract. We're talking like 95%, 90% of this. So Scott would come very cheap for me. He's a year older, but he did just turn 31. They're very similar pitchers. Scott does only have 2 pitches, but they're great ones. He's a lefty, which is a big deal for me because then that's automatically going into a dual stopper role with Clase. Whereas with Bautista, he was underperforming Clase a bit, so I kind of had to pull him back into that setup role. So I think we're going to go ahead and do this. And I believe we're just going to do all of these trades. And yeah, that is a lot of impact at the trade deadline. So very happy to see that. The trading carnage has settled. Yes, Tanner Scott came over. He's going to be in a dual stopper role with Clase. Because the lefty is naturally going to get a few more innings than the righty, I did want to give Clase the secondary closer role just in case that helps him get a few more innings. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but we'll find out. Jose Ferrer coming in, Manuel Rodriguez coming in. Mike Vassell was sent back to the Mets on Rule 5. I think we're like the 4th or 5th team who's had him since he was Rule 5. But he's going back to his original team. And then also Trevor Stefan went down to AAA to make room for just higher quality players. Nothing personal. On the offense, things have changed significantly. Griffin Conine has taken over day-to-day in right field. 60 rated right fielder with potentially quite a decent bat. Kyle Isbell surprised me. I didn't know that the 70 range and 65 air would yield a 75 potential in right field, so that's pretty strong. He will be ready to step in and play every day if we need him to. He's not going to be happy about not being in the starting lineup, but we are a contender this year, and I want to give Griffin Conine a chance to shine because I've been wanting him this whole playthrough. Jonathan India is back up from his rehab assignment. Cody Clemens is going to be taking over first base. This is not ideal. Eventually, I would like to get one more power hitter on my roster. I think we're just a little light on power. Trey Sweeney and Hechavarria are going to sort of platoon, sort of split shortstop. The left-handed Trey Sweeney will be starting short against righties, but Hechavarria is going to be playing every other game, and the righty Hechavarria will be starting against lefties, and Trey Sweeney will get every 5th start. So it looks like Hechavarria is going to get a little more playing time. Trey Sweeney not quite filling out that development the way we need him to, although he still is playing fairly well. It's just that his defense is a little suspect, and I need to bolster that somehow. Jorge Mateo has been taken out of his super utility role, but he will be used around the infield, and occasionally we'll ask for his bat. And I do have Corey Lee as the second backup at first base. For whatever reason, Lee is just hitting him well this year. And in the minors, there is one thing I wanted to cover because it's one of my prospects. Oh yeah, Spencer Torkelson came down. That was a big move. He's due a lot of money from us. So if he doesn't get his stuff together, we're going to have to do something funky about that because he doesn't really fit into the organization right now if he's not going to be producing just a little stronger. There was a player earlier that I demoted, Casey Schmidt. This is interesting. So he's very unhappy and he wants to be back up in the majors. And the reason is he is destroying the ball at AAA, hitting 375, hitting for some power over 138 plate appearances. However, this is an illusion. If we go into his batting stats and we view the expanded batting stats, we're going to see that his BABIP is 440. This is an extreme outlier. He's probably not even barely a 300 hitter in AAA, if that. So these 138 plate appearances have been extremely kind to Casey Schmidt, and unfortunately, that level of play is not good enough to get him back up on the team. So we're going to play through the trade deadline. If there are any other interesting trades, I will show them to you. Otherwise, we're going to start marching through August and see if we can be playoff contenders. Trade deadline has passed. Nothing super duper crazy happened, but Bo Bichette was traded to Atlanta for Hurston Waldrop. I found that Bo Bichette in this year, I think last year too, was quite a bit undervalued, but also seemed to have trouble developing. So I'm not sure what they put behind the scenes for his numbers these last couple years, but he's being sold just a little short, it seems. I was offered Ryan Helsley by the Cardinals. Unfortunately, I can't take him. I'd love to have him. And the only guy I really tried to get was Lance McCullers Jr. I could have gotten him 75% retained by giving up Zach Geloff, and I would have had a mean starting five if I had Lance McCullers Jr., and 75% retained for next year on his $17 million salary would have helped. There's a pretty good chance, not Logan Webb, there's a pretty good chance we're losing Zach Gallen because he's going into free agency, and I checked his demands. He's at about 22 million per year. And I'm just not sure we can pay that. So we're trying to make some homegrown talent, but Gage Wood is our best shot at that, and he's not loving his first start over here in High A. None of my drafted players are playing well in A-ball, but that's okay. We'll get them that little bit of experience, and then at the end of the season, we'll decide what to do with them. It is now August 15th, and we've been slightly screwed coming down the stretch here. We're 59, 61, and 1, and everyone is just shutting down, it seems like. But one piece of really good news, Grayson Rodriguez has signed. So let's take a look at this nice team-friendly contract. 3.5, 7.5, 10, and then $15 million for the last 4 years through his age 32 season. Totally nice contract. And hopefully we can turn things around in August. It is now September 1st. A little bit of bad news first, but it's mostly good news. Grayson Rodriguez kind of getting his butt kicked. So is Tanner Scott. Let's just call those growing pains and hope they live up to their ratings. We are 69, 67, and 1, 4.5 games back in the division, but we're right there, maybe a half a game back in the wild card. I did make a significant change. We demoted Cody Clemens. I had to sneak him through waivers, and I was just a little bit nervous about that. But thankfully, nobody picked him up. And we moved Jonathan India over to first base. Spencer Torkelson has come up from AAA. And yes, he's still at the minus .7 WAR at the major league level for Baltimore this year. But he's hitting them okay the last few games. So I don't feel too bad about that move. It does give a little power in the lineup that we didn't have. So I think we're in a pretty good spot moving forward. It's only September 4th, and the Dodgers have already wrapped up their division, and they're sitting at 96 wins, 23.5 games clear of the over 500 Arizona Diamondbacks. So that's some news. If you were wondering how Shohei Ohtani is doing, he is a lot of the reason for that. He's already up to getting close to 9 WAR now between his pitching and his hitting. He's up to 53 home runs. So, yeah, things are looking bad for everybody who's not a Los Angeles Dodger. And it's only September 9th now, but I did have to point something out. As soon as I said all that stuff about the Dodgers, we go ahead and sweep them. No big deal. You know, as you do. Grayson Rodriguez with a shutout, 7 Ks in 7 innings, giving up 4 hits and only 2 walks. So, yeah, OOTP is a very interesting game. Let's go ahead and sim through. Now that we're getting back into the American League, it is funny that our interleague play, of course, had to match us up against the Dodgers. And look at this. We are on a 6-game winning streak, the first of its kind this year. So we're still about 5.5 games back. A couple losses to Toronto. A few losses to Toronto. That's okay. And let's see if we can win the series against the White Sox. I'll feel pretty good about it. Okay, so we've taken the series against the White Sox. So let's check our standings. So, yeah, no one's catching the Yankees. However, we're looking really good for the wild card. 151, 152. Looks like 10 games left in the season. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Oh, you know what? I've got 27 emails. Hold on. Let me make sure nothing blew up. Venezuela, talent, Dominican talent. Okay. So nothing super crazy going on there. Looks like Bobby Witt is player of the week. Nice for him. Beating the Yankees is great. So this is a 4-game homestand against the Yankees. And boy, did we sweep them. So that is going to put us in a fantastic position here. And yeah, we've all but locked up the wild card. Outside chance we catch the Yankees. Very nice. And scrolling through the emails, nothing super important going on there. It looks like we should be near the top of the power rankings finally. Yeah, there we go. Number 4. Hold on, let's read all these messages. And 155, 156. So yeah, these 6 games are the last games to play. Tampa Bay and then the Yankees again, crucially. Okay, 2 wins and we're still a game and a half back, so the Yankees are winning also. And it looks like they have won all their games because we're still a game and a half back. We've got a few guys retiring. These are nobody I super care about. And we should have clinched a playoff appearance by now. Yeah, I must have missed the email. That's okay. We're definitely in there. This series is going to determine whether or not we win the division. So that's interesting. Just want to take a look at their lineups. Yeah, Volpe, Dominguez, Judge, Stanton, Bellinger, Chisholm. That is an intimidating lineup, but I do like that we're pitching against Carlos Rodon. He's doing fine this year, but I just don't have a whole heck of a lot of love for him in this game. So 8-game winning streak snapped, and it looks like that will do it in the division. So let's go ahead and finish this series out against the Yankees. Looks like we're going to win 86 games. So we are going to the playoffs. Lars Nootbaar and Jackson Holliday with 2020 seasons. We'll come back and review some of that. And yeah, stoked to make the playoffs. The eagle-eyed among you will have noticed that Logan Webb got hurt on the last day of the season because of course he did in this game. They will always break your heart if you have star players. So we're going down to 12 pitchers, just a 4-man rotation for the playoffs. I'm not going to bring up another pitcher. I'm going to bring up Cody Clemens. And he got the nod over Casey Schmidt, who was earlier complaining with his 440 BABIP about not being in the majors. Well, Clemens has got that power over him. He's a lefty bat. He can play just a little bit of left field. and he's just going to be a more solid hitter. I mean, he hit fine for us. It's going to show him putting up negative WAR, but honestly, the OPS plus in the 80s is, that's okay for a backup. So his bat will be coming off the bench this playoff season. I will make the necessary adjustments in the graphical depth chart for that. No other roster changes. Let's check out the standings. LA ended up winning 111 games. There you go. The Cubs won 95. Atlanta with 98. We held the Yankees to 91 wins and somehow still lost to the Red Sox, who very, very unlikely that they would match our record down the stretch, but they did. But it's no worries to us because we are still in those playoffs. Let's check out the stats. Ohtani leading with 60 homers. Nice job. Michael Harris and Pena here winning a batting title. Good for them. Only 7 batter WAR put up by Bobby Witt as the top offensive player. Interesting. Ohtani ended up with something like 9 WAR if you include his pitching, which was decent. I just scrolled down to see Juan Soto with the most walks. But you can take a look at these. Stolen bases, Jackson Holiday with 39. Nice job. We didn't have anybody leading in strikeouts, which is always lovely. Ohtani with 98 extra base hits. So, solid year for the offense. And best ERA in the business was Kodai Senga this year. We did have Tarek Skubal at 16 wins and a good K to walk rate, tied for the lead with Paul Skeens in strikeouts. Very nice for him. We only had 1 shutout by Grayson Rodriguez. I'm surprised he got a complete game. And 10.3 Ks per 9 for Skubal. Dylan Cease, I actually would have expected to see Spencer Strider atop that list. But you can check out the rest here. Yeah, it looked like a good mix of offense and defense this year. If we go into the team statistics, I do always like to check out the fielding stats first. We had a reasonably positive zone rating, so that's quite nice. If we go into the batting stats, always interested in home runs first, but we're probably pretty far down the list. 231. We did have a fair number of triples. So did everybody. That's crazy. How many doubles did we manage to leg out? Where are we? Way down in the cellar on doubles. So not a great year for extra base hits for us. And in general, our offensive production was not amazing. We didn't draw as many walks as we'd have liked to, considering that we're not putting up those extra base hits. We didn't strike out too much, so that's quite nice. How do we do in stolen bases? Okay, respectable. Our team batting average was middling. Our on-base percentage was probably nothing special, 322. So our OPS at 757 puts us kind of, just below, looks like, middle of baseball. Not a great offensive year. I do expect next year will be a better offensive year for us. Runs allowed is where we really shined. Home runs given up, we did a good job there, 212. How many walks did we allow? We handed out 453 first bases. Not bad. And if we check the strikeouts, we should be up there. 1,400. Totally respectable. Sorting by whip, we're good. Average against, solid. So very solid pitching year for us. If we go to our FIP minus, we're tied for 4th. If you care about ERA, I do because I'm older, so of course I care about ERA. We were 3rd. So statistically, kind of a nice year for our team. Our ticket price was kind of in the maybe a hair on the low side. We kept 99 fan interest. We haven't seemed to have gotten any extra fan loyalty. Sometimes that takes a while. but that is the year in review. So we'll come back and tackle the playoffs in the next episode. And I want to thank you for joining me again. It is pretty cool that we made the playoffs in our first year, doing a challenge as ridiculous as this one. And I think we're going to be a contender next year. We're not going to be losing a whole lot of key players. So there is still that outside chance we take it all down this year, though. So thanks for watching. So long and take care.